the world looking for understanding of the times that we live in. Hunting and gathering first-hand information, challenging definitions of sin. I travel the world looking for lovers of the ultimate beauty, but never Celine. I am a wanderlust king.
Oh, Control-Alt-Delete! Control-Alt-Delete!
You know, Control-Delete was originally designed to be an expeditious feature. But these days it makes it take like 5 minutes to do something that you can
Seems
do
there's
much
nothing for me to
faster.
do this morning. I guess they don't need me at the police department. Not that I mind.
Time to meet with the kinky bitch.
Meet with Anna! Here we go! Guess she's here. Oh, she's coming for a visit this time. Hey, Anna. Hey. What's going on? You sounded pretty worried on the phone. Worried? As if I was worried, it would mean I was afraid of something that might happen, but I'm way beyond that. I know exactly what's going to happen to me. It's over. It's all over. What are you talking about? First they came to my lab, now they went into my home too. Who did? The police! They raided the place, they had a warrant and everything. I already know that they'll have all they need to convict me. I'm gonna die in prison. Why? It's because of those tests I did on you. You'll die in prison because you looked at my fingernail under the microscope? I'm a bit confused. Why don't you start from the beginning? Alright. This goes years back, and you already know half the story. I was a brilliant mind, skipped years in school, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. So many awards, lining my shelves. The new ones just went straight to the trash. I didn't need them. I enjoyed the challenge. Blah blah blah. Besides, I wouldn't care if the old people thought about my work, as if I needed their approval. I was already more than any of them could have ever dreamed to be. The next problem I got was to tackle an incurable disease. I started my research, but an ironic twist of fate, I ended up contracting that very same disease myself. Whether someone had been following health and safety protocols as well as they should have, or if I was just unlucky, I'll never know. But the reality is that I now had a disease that was treatable but not curable. Despite having helped an incredible amount of people with my work, I was now one who needed help, yet there was no one who could help me. No one but myself. I was already planning on working in a cure anyway, and what better reason could there ever be than doing it to save myself? I told no one of my affliction and set out to do what many others had failed to. Any materials I needed to start my work were easily acquired just by waving my status around. I had more free reign over my own lab. I could have even gotten assistance if I wanted to, but I knew they would only be liabilities. I even had a few good leads for ways to combat the disease, though the one I chose to pursue was not exactly legal. Not without prior approval by the council. My research was promising though, and while I submitted the paperwork, I knew these things always moved slowly. Being pushed through various boards and committees could have taken months, if not years, depending on how generous they would be. I just couldn't afford to wait that long, as I was working against the clock. So while waiting for paperwork to be approved, I had already started with my work, fully expecting them to approve it eventually. How could they not, given that I was tackling an incurable disease? The method I was going to use was not necessarily a new one, but it was controversial. It didn't even cross my mind that anyone would object, seeing as long as I would cure thousands, if not millions, of future people. But I was younger then, and a little more naive than I am now. In the end, my whole project came crashing down in flames. The proposal that I was sure to be approved was ultimately rejected, putting all the work I had done into jeopardy. I had already made good progress that time too. After the rejection, there was going to be an inspection of my workplace in order to determine the progress I had made on the project, which they assumed had been within legal bounds and didn't include controversial things outlined in the paperwork. Of course, that meeting was just to be a pretense, because I knew there were already rumors going around about what really went on in my lab. In the end, I had very little warning. Thankfully, I managed to dispose of most of the egregious evidence before they arrived. They found proof of my wrongdoing, but since they couldn't find evidence of how far I had already proceeded, I was able to deny most of their accusations. Using the controversial method when it hadn't been approved, I was still seen as very grievous offense, however. I was charged and sentenced harshly though the sentence was suspended due to their lack of evidence. With all I had done for them, they knew better than take away my license, and I was able to continue work in other areas under the condition that it was within a council-owned facility. I see, so I assume those tests on me were against whatever conditions I set for the suspended sentence. Exactly. Why didn't you just do things proper and wait for the paperwork to clear? Before my paperwork would even get through, you'd be long gone. Using you as a test subject would have been a process that the council would have had to discuss with humanity. As such, there might have been another trade agreement and who knows what else. I just didn't have the time, quite frankly, and I don't even know how much longer I have left. This is my death sentence. You thought my test results would help you find a cure? And that's never going to happen now. How did they find out so quickly? It's not that long since I came to your lab. It wasn't just those tests, there was Reza too. But Reza told me he didn't give you any of his blood when you asked for it. Because that's not what I got from him. Ew. It's my life we're talking about. Do you think I didn't spend hours on the ground in the hallway of facility after Reza's first visit trying to find a stray hair or anything else I could use? Or that when I gave him the first dinner, I didn't try to squeeze his skin just enough so that I could salvage a few skin cells? How did they find out about all this? It was Damien, my assistant, that piece of shit. He was blackmailing me. Why? Because he's jealous of me, jealous of my success. He found out what I was doing with the stuff I could salvage from Reza. I didn't mind giving him what he wanted, though. I just wanted to live. When he died, the police searched his apartment. They found all the evidence he had on me. And now everything is coming down. I will be punished to the full extent of the law and will die in prison. My work will forever be tainted, not that I care about that when I'm dead. Do you remember that childhood friend of mine I told you about? I never wanted to end up like her, but it seems not even anything I can do. It seems not even I can do anything to escape that fate. Maybe I deserve it. Maybe it's my punishment. I have to die like she did because I left her. I will spend my last days bedridden in a prison cell. No one will visit me or care. And you know what? With all that data I got from you, I might have actually found a cure. I don't want to cry in front of you. I don't want the attention or the pity. I don't want it. I didn't cry back then when I was diagnosed. I'm sure as heck not going to cry now. I admit that I was selfish always, yet I did great things. At least that's what everyone kept telling me. You know, after that whole affair back then and the suspended sentence, the rumors about me never stopped. Did they warn you about me? Did they tell you to stay away? I'm sure they have. Why are you still here? I didn't listen to them, I guess. I just like you. The council, Damien, Remy, they were always sabotaging me. If everyone just left me alone, I wouldn't even need your help. Why couldn't everyone just leave me alone? When they gave me the manager position at the facility, that was just to distract me even more, giving me free reign over the lab so I'd be tempted to do something I shouldn't. How could I not at least try? One of their so important funding principles is how every individual is important. That's clearly not the case with me, at least they never showed it was. Now I can just see how different you are. You are the only one who came to me willingly and without any ulterior motives. Or did you? You invited me. I just took the invitation. Just to use you. And you still came back for more. You let me do all these tests on you. Sure, you complained like a pro, but you sat it out for me. I owed it to you. You don't owe me anything anymore. So what? Maybe I won't have to die alone after all. I don't know if I'll be able to be there. It doesn't matter. You've already done more than enough for me. I'll remember you when I die. Anyway, enough of that. I hope you don't mind me hanging around here. My place still looks like the police raided it. Oh, wait, that's exactly what happened.
Huh? At least you still got the sass.
Yeah. Do you need help cleaning up? No, I could pay someone to do it later. I just don't want to be there right now. Nice apartment you've got here, by the way. Not quite as fancy as mine, but this isn't bad either. I guess the council treats you nicely, huh? Hey, it wasn't my decision. You're such a VIP, aren't you? I can't be that important if your apartment is nicer than this. Besides, after your rhetoric about being wild and all when we went on our date, I assumed you were more of the type of person who just lives in a hole in the ground. That's not what I said. I told you I can appreciate all kinds of different experiences. I could survive in the wild if I wanted to, though. Do you want to know what I did on my last vacation? I just started walking in a random direction. Spent a week in the wilderness before I came back. That must have been an adventure. I wouldn't be able to do that without tools. I could give you some tips if you'd like. Not sure if I ever need them, but guess they could come in handy. Actually, there's one tip that should take care of everything. Let's hear it then. Just be a dragon. Then you've got everything you need and you don't have to rely on tools and other stupid stuff. Yeah, that's super helpful. How do you think I'm supposed to do that? Not my problem. Actually, can you tell me about your advances in genetic engineering? Maybe you could make it happen. My personal ones? I was speaking more of your society as a whole, but if you have personal experiences, that could also be interesting. Spade, you have to go!
No!
We could do so much if we wanted to. Cloning, genetic scrambling, or hybrids of our various different species. Heck, we could even create new species if we wanted to, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. Tampering with genetics is not allowed. Why? Our enlightened society does not see any value in it. Besides, you know about our creation myth, right? The one about human creating you? Yeah, that one. It's the only one we have. Anyway, we're not to tamper with the perfect images after which we were created. And those would be? The belief is that each species was molded for a particular task, or a particular role in our society. Really? Some of them aren't even wrong. It suggests certain species should go into certain jobs because they're naturally higher aptitude in those fields. Can you give an example? Let's just say that while everyone can join the police force, you'll never be the flyer on duty unless you belong to a species that can fly. Not much is a given. I was talking about if there are any sort of discrimination, for example. You could say so. These structures can be pretty rigid in places, especially where the council is concerned. They really like to employ the members to various species in their traditional roles. Ironically enough, the perpetual nuisance you know as Remy was a revolutionary case where that didn't happen. In what way? Well, a council's aide, particularly one who works in archives, is usually a member of a species with more dexterous hands. You can't really expect a four-legged species to do that kind of job well. And he doesn't! It's really been a disaster. He's basically become a laughingstock of the whole town. When Remy initially got the position, there was a lot of controversy about the subject. Some like it, some didn't. I thought that for Emera, politics was a popularity contest, doing something controversial and divisive like that doesn't really fit that image. She wasn't like that in the beginning. It certainly caused people to remember her, though, and now that people know her, she has changed her attitude a bit. It was a good move because it kept her in the spotlight all the time, and she's using it to gain popularity now. So she just likes the attention. I don't know why she doesn't, and quite frankly, I don't care. You'd have to speak to her yourself. But I doubt she'd tell you. I wouldn't expect honesty from someone like her. Politics always used to be messy back home. Scandals, arguments, lies, they were everywhere. We do get the occasional scandal from time to time, and of course there's always rumors. You can't really make people stop talking. In a way, I'm glad we don't have all that anymore. Why not? At some point, it just gets tiring. People get loud and argumentative, and those are supposed to be our leaders. It's not
pointing fingers, right?
Yeah, no, we're definitely not pointing fingers. Trump, Hillary. Yeah, no, that was a perfectly fine run for presidency, right? I mean, it's not like it divided our whole nation caused acts of violent racism and shit to come out, right?
And it's not like we weren't going to be screwed either. It's not like we were going to be screwed either way, right?
That's not something people would like here. If you're a council member who wants to be popular, you don't engage in that kind of behavior. That sounds like a nice change of pace. Not necessarily, since it also leads to reluctant agreements and sweeping issues that should be talked about under the rug. You know what? That doesn't jive with me. They like to preserve this fantasy of peace and harmony in our society. For me, it's just so fake. People pretend to do something they aren't to conform because they don't want to stand out. They become faceless puppets like drones in a hive or cogs in a machine. What kind of world do we live in where speaking one's mind is seen as something bad? I never held back. Now see where that's got me? I bet some would argue that it's just easier to conform then. I could never do that, and besides, I don't want to. There's this thing called integrity, and if there's one thing this society needs, that's it. Now you're starting to sound like a politician. If that's what your politicians sound like, maybe they aren't so bad. Sometimes I just want to walk up to some of ours and shake them until they wake up and accept the truth. What is the truth? I'm a scientist. Truth are facts that are empirically verifiable by science and tests. After all, the tests I do in my job are to find out if assumptions are true or not. I suppose if you ask different people, their definitions of truth would be very different. What's truth to you, then? Truth is what I feel is right. I know that I know nothing!
That's...
What's that supposed to mean? It's a philosophical phrase. It means that ultimately, we can't really know anything with absolute certainty. I can't see that as a bad answer. Yeah, philosophy is nice and all, but that doesn't really help me when I'm in the lab. I'm gonna try a different answer there. I don't feel comfy with that answer. Yeah, that's true. That is something their politicians would say. I do have to actually agree, though. Truth is something that can be factually proven.
Yeah.
There aren't nearly enough people like that around here. You do seem to like talking about this kind of stuff, though.
Considering the extra lines that were given for our first answer.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm not an ambassador for nothing, you know. You're an ambassador so you can discuss the nature of truth with different cultures. You know, if you ask the wrong kind of person, these kind of discussions would turn very ugly. I'm certainly here to learn about what you're thinking and how your society works on a deeper level. Of course I wouldn't just walk up to someone on the street and start talking. Maybe you should start talking with someone in social studies then, not me. Not necessarily. Even if someone like that gave me their opinion, it's still important to hear people's voices themselves. Okay, anything else you want to know? How much do you really like me? That's not the kind of question I was expecting. You called me when things went down, and you say you don't really know anyone else. So what? Is it hard to admit that you like someone? You know me a little by now. You know what I'm like. Whatever you're looking for, you know I'm not that kind of material. Not even as a friend. You want to use emotionally laden words to describe our relationship? We've met a few times, and that does it for you? This isn't about me. Before anything happened to either of us, I just want to know. You want me to tell you how I feel about you? Even if something happened between us, you know it's not made to last. You will go back to your own world, and I will probably spend the next few years in prison. You wouldn't like the commitment anyway, would you? True. I wouldn't let something like that hold me back. People don't like me, and I don't like people. That's how it's always been. Right now, though, I'd have to say you're probably the person I hate the least. That's something, I guess. I also can't deny that you have a certain exotic quality about you. Now you're talking! But enough about me. If you've put up with me for this long, it can't all just be your unselfish kindness, can it?
I don't but you do.
I don't hate you too. I guess we feel the same way then. You know, this might be our last opportunity to do something. Why not make it worth it? If you say so.
Say so.
Is that a yes? Yeah! She strode forward, reaching out with a claw before she hooked it into the neckline of my shirt.
Well, this seems to be a good ending.
So far, so good. What are you doing? Well, we have to take these off, don't we? Not like that, you'll ruin them. I'll do it. Alright, don't be so fussy.
I've been feeling fine.
And they just glance over everything that happened.
Yes, because this is not a hentai.
Another free day, yay me. For all intents and purposes, we just fucked a dragon.
Can you answer M. Bison? Yes.
No, we can't. I'm too lazy.
Yes.
I'm too lazy for that shit. We'll see you guys next time on Angels with Scaly Wings. Anna's going to prison. Although we did give her a nice fuck before then.
Yes.
See you guys then.